Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the regional security and diplomatic shifts, and of course we've seen Pakistan's response to cross-border terrorism even as we speak, and of course our consistent efforts to thwart any attempts to of course temper with Pakistan's own security. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about of course Russia's recognition of the Taliban, which comes at this time, its own ramifications, its own effects of this recognition and what it can mean for the future. Of course, in the light of Pakistan's relationship with Afghanistan, our regional situation at this time, all of that today on Perspective. I have with me Fakhar Yousafzai, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for being with us today. We have with us Brigadier retired Hariz Nawaz, who's a defense analyst. Thank you for joining us. Lieutenant General Raza Muhammad Khan, who's former President NDU. Thank you for joining us. And a little later on, we'll be joined by other guests in the program. Fakhar Sahab, as we've seen with regard to, attempts of terrorism that come from across the border, of course, more recently, it's something that has continued. Pakistan, of course, our forces are always, cognizant and act in a timely manner. But how do you see this now? And, the fact that it continues, and of course, we know the involvement from across the border of other countries, the way that, other territories are used to create and perpetrate terrorism in Pakistan. How do you see it?
Of course, this is unfortunate and very alarming, especially for Pakistan. From last couple of week, we are seeing so many attacks in north-south Waziristan, as well as 2 days ago, attack on the Assistant Commissioner Nawaz, Faisal Ismail, was targeted by IED blast. And there are so many incidents, especially with the border area of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which we are sharing the border with Afghanistan. Of course, we are talking with the Afghan government so many times, and I think so they are creating a role, but this situation is not changing. The attack are going continuously on the security forces on the daily basis, and this is not only affect the security forces, as well as the people of those areas also affected from that, the people are gathering for the peace in those areas, which is very, very important. I think so we should continuously creating the pressure on Afghan government. This is very important, as well as we should make a narrative against the terrorism which is going on in Pakistan. Of course, India using this narrative from almost from 2 decades, and of course we should also, our government or foreign office or embassies and or media should, I think so, should work on this. But of course, the security forces operations against those elements is also very important, and I think so the support of the local people, we need that. Of course, we can cope with them.
I think that's very important in terms of course, the support. So, let me go to Brigadier Sahab on this. Brigadier Sahab, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Brigadier Sahab, there's also, this narrative that Fakhar Sahab is talking about. Do you think that, after what happened between Pakistan and India, recently with, the kind of escalation that we saw and the way that we went into the world to put our narrative across, do you think that these recent attacks and the way that the Afghani soil has been used, Afghanistan has been used, vindicate Pakistan?
Yeah, you see, the most important point is the way Pakistan has sorted out India in Mahrukh or Momin Masood, and they lost miserably. They were highly embarrassed in front of the whole world, and also amongst their own even people, because they created a war hysteria that India is, I think, the big power, and they're going to eat away Pakistan. And then, of course, the way Pakistan fought under the command of Field Marshal Asim Munir, and the whole nation got together, and we gave a befitting reply to an extent that within 4 hours, they just came to the knee and rushed to American president and requested him to go for ceasefire. And then now they have nothing else to sell to their people. They are saying Operation Door is still on, we're going to go again, it is not finished. So now they are taking revenge in terms of their proxies. They are escalating their proxies like Hindustan, BLA, BLF, BNA, then Majid Brigade in Balochistan, and then of course Piktal Kharij and IS Khorasan group through Afghanistan on our side. So this is the issue. And now the way we have done it professionally, we have dealt with these 30 period, these Farijis we have killed, and with a very professional planning attitude. And then we let them come in, and then we really went for ambush and we killed everyone without any loss. This speaks of our professionalism and expertise now in fighting terrorism. And this must have affected the morale of this Farij. But one thing is, of course, there that now we have to speak to Afghan interim government that what have they decided? Are they want to continue supporting terrorism from for these Farijis, or they want to support Pakistan? Because recently you must have seen that in China, the Pakistan foreign minister, one foreign minister, and of course Chinese foreign minister, they got together and they all decided that now it's going to be total cooperation and coordination from their side. And it looks there, it was manifested also in police academy. I think they spoke.
You spoke about speaking to the Afghan government. Pakistan has done so in the past also. Do you think, why do you believe we'll be more effective now?
Recently, there was a meeting in China with Chinese foreign minister, Pakistan foreign minister, and interim Afghan government foreign. They met and they decided we are sending CPAC to Afghanistan, but they said in return you are going to give them full support, and that Afghanistan you don't allow any terrorists coming from their side towards Pakistan, so that we have peace in Balochistan. For peace in Balochistan means we go complete CPAC and then we operational Nawaz. That is the reason. But now I think the time that these Chinese have to push Afghan government that if they want extension of CPAC to Afghanistan, that means now is the time they have to fully support Pakistan and they have to carry out either operation against Fajis or allow Pakistan. If you can't control, then allow Pakistan. We have the technology with us and we can go and sort them out or push them towards Pakistan, then Pakistan can play hell in trouble areas. We can do also. As long as Afghan government is not supporting and they are pushed from that side, then we can do it. And this is the time Pakistan has been proved that now we are a regional stabilizer. Means the world have recognized and India has been isolated because now Indians are being kicked out by Iranians also, and there will be no support training in Iran for BLA, BLF because they have come to know how Iranian they stepped back in Iran's back. So that things are coming positive, and this support now BLA, BLF going to be very, very weak. Only now if you push Indians through Americans and Afghan government stop supporting Fajis, then I think we can control all this thing. It is possible now, but the only thing is we have to choose the influence of Iran now and China, and I think things can be much, much better for Pakistan.
Right, fair enough. Let me come back to you. Fakhar Saab, do you agree with what Brigadier Saab is saying? Do you think it's going to make a difference to the Afghan government where we are at this time? Of course, the American relationship with Pakistan more recently, and then China. Do you think it's going to have visible impacts with what happens in Afghanistan?
Yeah, of course. Actually, the Afghan government is trying, want to make a good relation with the neighbors, especially with Pakistan, Iran, because they are facing so many problems in Iran right now after the Iran-Israel war. And therefore, Pakistan is very important for Afghanistan, as we know that they are using our seaports and so many things. Their students are studying here in our universities, and their patients is here for curing in Pakistani hospitals.
Yet repeatedly, we have made it clear to them that this terrorism should not continue.
Of course, we should clear them. We should clear this message to the Afghan government. It is very important. But I think so. the Afghan government, no, after almost they will complete 4 years in the next month after 2021. They know the word right now that we should create a good relation with the neighboring as well as with the rest of the world. Of course, Russia recognized them. It is very important for them. If China go for this type of things, and China and Pakistan want to extend the CPEC towards the Jalalabad, Kabul, and then to the Central Asian countries, of course they will get benefit from there. They know this, because they also needed the business with the world. If they will not do this and they will go behind the TTP or the Fitna al-Khawarij, of course they will face the problem. Not only from Pakistan, they will face the problem from Iran as well as from China, and might be possible from Central Asian and the Russian Russia as well. Therefore, we should continue talk with the Kabul, as we are expecting that the foreign minister of Kabul may be visit soon Islamabad. This is very important, and we should continue this process. If we will continue this, and our security forces will keep pressure on the TTP or other outfit organization on the border areas, I think so we can cope it very soon.
Brigadier Sahib, do you think that this recognition that we've seen from Russia at this time, do you think it's going to lead the way, pave the way for Afghanistan and for other countries to follow suit?
You see, the point is, in April this year, Russians removed the name of Afghan interim government from the terrorist organization list, and that looked they're going to have and develop a diplomatic relationship. Now even China and UAE also considering, and they're in dialogue with them. That is the time Pakistan should talk to China, particularly China and also UAE. We have to tell them that they should recognize only when Afghan Talibans, they ensure that they stop supporting terrorist organizations, because there are 24 terrorist organizations in Afghanistan, and that is the report of the United Nations. And Pakistan is the only country which is fighting against these all countries. And Pakistan has told these Americans also, and Americans acknowledge that. Now is the time we must tell them that Pakistan will also recognize. You see, Pakistan can't recognize them when you're having a terrorism from your side. 30 terrorists coming from their side, infiltrating Pakistan, and Pakistan is killing them. Then you know the incident of Bajor. Recently, we lost our one major, and 11 troops we also had. They were the IEDs exported in the vehicle. So these things we have to tell Afghan people that please show some positive attitude towards it. Say, you said in Doha Agreement that you will not allow your land to be used by any terrorist organization against any country. We do everything for you. We give you fertilizer, we give you sugar, we give you wheat, and we give you all sorts of support. And we demand only one thing, that you don't allow your land to be used by any terrorist organization, and that you're not doing it. So there should be some positive
Do you think it initially, earlier on, I think if we look at a couple of years back, there was some discussion about the ability of the Afghan government to clamp down on terrorism. Do you think it's the ability, it's their inability to do so, or do you think that, whether it's a question of intention?
Mahrukh, let me tell you one thing. The problem is they don't have a total control in whole of Afghanistan. They need to have ethnic balanced representations. And that is how the world is not recognizing them, because terrorism is not controlled by them. They don't have control in northern Afghanistan side. They have 46% Pashtuns. Then they have Tajiks, Uzbeks, Hazaras. They don't have any representation in interim government. So unless they have ethnic balanced government, they will never be able to have control in that. Then, of course, they have a human rights violations against human rights violations against women. So after 12 years of girls' age, they can't go to school and college, they can't go and study. So there's a lot of problems. That's why the other communist nations, they're not involved in going there, and they're not being recognized by them. So China can use influence, because China is spending a lot of money, and they're exploring a lot of minor minerals. So China can use this influence because they are spending CPEC to Afghanistan. Then, of course, we have a Central Asia, Afghanistan connectivity to Balochistan, and then we go to Gwadar port. So the China has to be used now China, if they use the influence, I think Afghanistan can understand, because now Iran is coming towards Pakistan. India is kept on one side. So Pakistan, Iran, Bangladesh, China, and all the regional small countries, they becoming a very strong group, and Pakistan becoming a regional stabilizer means Pakistan is getting a lot of importance, and even SAR we likely to hold in Pakistan. Then and India is having no trouble. That's what I say now. If you push China, and China should only accept and have diplomatic relations with Afghanistan when Pakistan says yes, now they are showing positive response. Because Pakistan and China should recognize together. I would. This is what is more important. Otherwise, if China accept and Pakistan doesn't, we'll have a lot of implications. So these things have to wait by a foreign office, by a defense ministry. Everybody has to work out with Chinese government before any such progress is made in this direction.
Let me take Fakhar Saab's opinion on this. Fakhar Saab, do you agree? You think that whether China recognizes Taliban will have to do with which way Pakistan goes?
I think so. It will be right, because in the last month, the three foreign minister of Pakistan and China, as well as the Afghan foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi, met in Beijing, and that was very important gathering of these three countries, I think so. Therefore, China is all-weather friend of Pakistan, and of course they know about the terrorism, as well as which is affecting the CPEC progress as well in Balochistan as well as in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Therefore, I think so China can force the Kabul, Beijing can force the Kabul for stopping the terrorism in Pakistan, and especially against the TTP, which is of course have a big presence in the border area of Pakistan and Afghanistan, and on the daily basis or the weekly basis they are attacking the security forces in those different areas, as well as they have targeted the Chinese with the help of BLA and this type of organization. I think so China will force Afghanistan as China, but I think so Saudi Arabia, Qatar and UAE can also play a very vital role for this dialogues with Afghanistan. I think so. Of course, Pakistan have a very good relation with all those countries, and Pakistan will use that. Therefore, because Pakistan right now have big issue of a security situation, especially in the two provinces of.
But even internationally, if we look at the situation, we know that, what about international sanctions that exist against Afghanistan at this time? Are those going to be impacted? Of course, when we talk about international recognition, probably the two can't exist together. It has to be either those sanctions go away, and how does the world look at that? Because it had to do with women empowerment and women education, treatment, all of those things. Also, how do you see that?
Yeah, of course, I think so. The women life in Afghanistan is not good, especially after the Taliban regime. After 2021, they have stopped them from the school, colleges and universities, as well as from the jobs. I think so from every field, they cut off the women of the Afghanistan, which is wrong. I think so the Western world will not accept it, especially the US. I don't think so that US Donald Trump will accept it that okay, we will recognize the Kabul on their condition. I think so they will keep their condition in front of the Afghan government, and of course there is no other way apart from that Afghan government should accept that. I think so they should relax the situation for the women in Afghanistan as well as for the other people. I think so. I don't think so they can run Afghanistan in this modern era like this, that you exclude the women from the society.
But they've continued to do so for now nearly 4 years also.
Yeah, of course, in August they are completing the 4 years. But of course they know the pressure, the world pressure. Nobody recognized them in last 4 years. The Russia is the first one who recognized them in 2025. Of course, if for example America or the Western world if recognize them, of course they will keep this condition on the top.
So it's going to have to change. Let me come back to you. Thank you for joining us, Brigadier Hariz Nawaz Saab. Thank you for your time. I'm going to go to Lieutenant General Raza Mohammed Khan. General Saab, can you hear me? Ji, General Saab? I think there's a problem. I think there's a problem with audio. Fakhar Sahab, does, one of the things as far as Russia, China, Taliban alignment is concerned, is it going to reshape the security dynamic in the region otherwise also?
Yeah, of course, China, Pakistan, and the Afghan Taliban, as well as the Russia.
But Pakistan, Pakistan is not in that pool at this time, right? When we look at Russia and China and Taliban and Central and South Asian security dynamic.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to change with this?
First of all, I think so. As well as we talk about the China and Russia, as well as the Taliban, both the country, they are, I think so, the economic power, as well as they are the part of the superpower, China and Russia.
Yeah.
Of course, they have so many interest in Afghanistan, and they are trying for that. They are going for investment. China is, I think, so keen about that, and they are trying to connect Afghanistan with China via Pakistan as well. Therefore, they want peace. They want, I think so, the recognition of the Afghan government. But as we have said, you said and me said about that, the recognition is and the situation is connected with Pakistan. Of course, China is raising this point. Might be possible Russia not raising this point, but I think so it's very clear that China is raising this point time by time in front of the Afghan government. Of course, they have so many interest in Kabul. Russia have so many interest, and Pakistan have also so many interest in Afghanistan.
Let me go to General Saab now. General Saab, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Right, General Saab, as far as this nexus of the fact that Russia's recognition of the Afghanistan at this time, how do you look at it, and the fact that does it have the potential to reshape the security dynamic in Central Asia? Of course, and the nexus we were earlier discussing, as in between China, Afghanistan, and Russia.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I think I do not see any nexus between China, Russia, and Afghanistan. Yes, there is a nexus between Russia and China, and they have openly said so. If Russia has now recognized the Afghan government, it did so after, their Duma removed all the sanctions from the Taliban, and I think they did it because it finds itself isolated, and so does Afghanistan. Their foreign minister also stated that they have done it to facilitate the mutual interests of the two countries, particularly, the common threat from ISIS, and we hope that Russia will now, exercise and exert its influence on the Taliban government, as is being done by the rest of the world, to make sure that Afghanistan soil is not used against Pakistan or any of its other, neighbors for terrorism, and that is by the nexus of Fitna al-Khawarij, which is TTP, and Fitna al-Hindustan, which is BLA and ISIS. That is actually the nexus which is there, and I think that is of great concern to everybody. And in a way, I think it now becomes the obligation of the Russian government to make sure that they break that nexus. And if they want to break it and they are serious about it, then they should not only look at the ISIS, they should also look at the other terrorists, because I'm sure they're aware that China and Pakistan, they have serious security concerns from this nexus, and that nexus is hurting both the security as well as the economic interests of both Pakistan and China. And I'm sure, this is going to augur well for, I think, the security situation, not for Russia alone, but hopefully for China and Pakistan as well. But we'll have to wait and see, how the Afghan government deals now with the TTP and the BLA and its affiliates.
Right. Let me come back to you, General Sahab. We have with us Ehsanullah Tipu Masood, who's a senior analyst. And I will go to him in just a bit. But before that, Fakhar Sahab, there's also, this, what General Sahab is talking about, this nexus. He's talking about Russia, about the relationship that, Afghanistan may foster further on. But we have not been able to prevail upon Afghanistan. I think one must, come to that conclusion for whatever reasons. The question is, will Russia be able to do so? In this kind of, should we be as optimistic about Russia doing so?
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Actually, as we know, if we talk about the Soviet Union, that time Afghanistan have a war against the Soviet Union that time in 79 and 80s.
Yeah.
And if right now we look at Russia, I think so. After the Ukraine war, I think so they are focusing on this region. We can say that the South Asia, especially on Pakistan, they have a good relation with China. I think so before the Pakistan with Iran as well. But right now, I think so they are focusing on Afghanistan, and I think so Afghanistan also interested with the good relation with Moscow. Therefore. Hope is I think so. We should be hopeful.
Let me go on this with with this to Ehsanullah Tipu Masood. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Do you think it's one should be optimistic about this as far as Russia being able to prevail on the Afghan government to control terrorism?
Honestly, what happened like last night, so that was quite a surprising development for us as well. And earlier I spoke to few diplomatic sources here in Islamabad, like Western diplomatic sources, and then Middle Eastern, and few Central Asian as well. So they were also quite surprised. Okay. I won't say shocked, but they were surprised as well. And you can't see this development, in a unilateral way.
Okay.
So Russia is like having a veto power in UN Security Council.
Yeah.
It's having its own sphere of influence in the entire region. So we must expect, that in near future, a few Central Asian states, especially Uzbekistan, can also, recognize the Taliban interim government. As far as Pakistan is concerned, so recently we have also upgraded diplomatic ties to ambassador level. And that was also quite a diplomatic development on bilateral level, especially keeping in view the security concerns coming from Afghanistan. Pakistan has long been accusing Afghanistan for hosting the top leadership of different factions of Pakistani Taliban.
Yeah.
And just today, ISPR claimed to have killed 30 militants coming from Afghanistan. So I would totally agree with General Saab that international community, the Western world, Russia, they have their own priorities when it comes to security issues regarding Afghanistan. So they do see ISKP, Islamic State Khorasan province, as a major threat, and the group has already carried out attacks last year in Crocus, Moscow as well. But TTP, Pakistani Taliban, should be included in these security concerns. Okay. Pakistan should make this issue a regional issue, a global issue. And especially like this one, Pakistan is also presiding the UN Security Council. And as far as my information is concerned, recent engagements with American authorities, especially on counter-terrorism front. So we do see that in future, the counter-terrorism efforts between Pakistan and the US.
Increasing, probably the liaison will increase as far as the US. So does that impact the Afghan relationship with Pakistan also? Do you think America will also maybe engage with Afghanistan more? Let's not talk about recognition at this time, but do you see a broader engagement maybe?
I think every country is actually engaging upon Taliban.
Okay.
On a regional level, global level as well. And also, like, you know, few countries in the Western world, they are actually asking the Afghan interim government to take over, you know, embassies in their in those respective countries. So we do see that everyone is engaging Afghan Taliban. But when you talk to those, you know, diplomats from those countries, so their prime concern is again security. So if you were to talk to Chinese officials, so they would, you know, talk about ATIM, TIP, you know, groups like these anti-China groups.
Right.
And same like Tajikistan, they are also raising the same concerns. Americans, again, you know, ISKP. So we do see that engagement would be taking place. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan has to make this issue, the TTP issue, like, you know, Pakistan has to bring this issue on the regional level and
But
even
when we-
global level.
I want to talk more about this. Let me come back to you. Jansa, I think Ahsanullah, he's right that, you know, we need to make it an issue. But the question is how, you know, we've said it to them many number of times. The engagement has taken place at all levels, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong. The fact that also has, you know, recently, although they continue to use Afghan soil to perpetrate terrorism in Pakistan, they continue to play both sides by blaming Pakistan, you know, for terrorism that we know who's responsible for. Those safe havens that are not even in Pakistan. So how does Pakistan deal with that narrative when we talk about, when we take it to the world?
I think, first of all, our narrative on this is very clear. We've always maintained that the nexus of TTP, BLA, and ISIS is being sponsored, financed, and facilitated by RAW, and particularly in those areas of Afghanistan which are either not governed effectively or the ungoverned spaces. And they're also using, unfortunately, the Iranian land as well as their seaports, and particularly Shah Bahar, to bring in terrorists inside Pakistan, to sabotage the CPEC in particular, and now also the Rikodik. So that is what we have been saying, and there is no change to this narrative. I think for this we must continue our efforts to complete our dossiers, present it to the world, particularly all the members of the UN Security Council, permanent members of the UN Security Council, the OIC, the EU, and others who matter. At the same time, I think both China and Pakistan have, I think, very clearly now decided that if these attacks do not stop, then I think we have the option, you know, to take out the safe havens of these terrorists, whether they are in India, whether they are in Afghanistan or elsewhere, as a last resort. Coming back, you know, to this issue of recognition, there is a lot of chatter now, you know, on social media, questioning if Pakistan would follow suit. And they're also talking about India trying to follow the Soviet Union. I think we must very clearly understand that at the time of partition and the independence of Pakistan, Afghanistan was the only one who opposed our membership of the United Nations. Afghanistan was the last country of the world who eventually recognized Pakistan. Afghanistan still does not accept the present border between it and Afghanistan, and they call it with another name. But we have to be very cautious of India now taking advantage of this situation and trying to beat Pakistan through the recognition of Taliban, no matter what it means for them or the rest of the world. So I'm sure this issue will be debated, discussed. It's a sensitive issue by all elements of the Pakistani government and the armed forces. And whatever decision we make will have to be a well-considered, rational decision, which actually furthers the national security and economic interest of Pakistan, We should not forget that very recently China, Afghanistan, and Pakistan highest representatives, senior representatives had met in Beijing, and they had unanimously agreed to extend the CPEC to Afghanistan and thereafter to CARS, which is also generally supported by Russia. So that's a very big incentive which now we have offered to Afghanistan, and I hope it utilizes that and there is quick progress on that. And I think if that happens, then the economic stakes of the Taliban government in Afghanistan by itself would probably make them think again of supporting the TTP, BLA, and others, against their terrorism in other countries.
Thank you so much, General Saab. Thank you for your very valuable time. I'm going to go to Ihsanullah on this. Ihsanullah, do you think that, when the Afghan government says, are they in control of course, clearly there are territories, there are areas within Afghanistan which they don't have effective control over. So do you think that they're really in a position to commit to any kind of an understanding or any kind of, that they will not perpetrate terrorism for other countries?
They do have this issue.
Okay.
So whenever we talk to them, and especially when we ask them about the TTP and other factions of Pakistani Taliban, so they would definitely raise this issue that we can't force them. They might go and join ISKP as well. But on the other hand, if you see, so the same ISKP, which was considered quite a big problem and threat for Afghan Taliban, so just like in the first year or two, so the Taliban intelligence, the GTI, they quite effectively neutralized a big chunk of ISKP leadership all across the country, like not only in the Kunur, eastern Afghanistan, but in Kabul as well, and the northern part as well, Badakhshan, Mazar Sharif. So there, and Pakistani official, when we talk to Pakistani officials, so they would argue that if they can carry out such successful operations against ISKP, so why they are reluctant to do the same against the TTP. So these are actually conflicting issues between the two countries, but the recent engagement of Pakistan and the recent visit of Pakistani Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar Saab to Kabul.
We've also offered them assistance, right?
Yes,
of
exactly.
Any kind to clamp down on this kind of terrorism.
Exactly. Joint counter-terrorism and intelligence sharing mechanism Pakistan has already offered on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
But the recent engagement and then bringing China into this a trilateral mechanism. And that trilateral mechanism actually exists since 2017 during Ashraf Ghani time as well. So that's not something new. But and then the extension of CPEC to Afghanistan. So Pakistan and China, they are very much ready to assist Afghan Taliban on bilateral trade front, connectivity, border as well. Like Afghan Taliban, when you talk to them, so they would always raise the issue of border restriction on borders coming from Pakistani side. Pakistan is, the special envoy for Afghanistan, Mohammad Sadiq. So he has actually on multiple occasions conveyed this thing to Afghan Taliban leadership as well, that we would create more opportunity on border and we would facilitate Pak-Afghan trade and the transit trade as well, going through Afghanistan till Central Asia and Russia as well.
Do you see the reaction? I mean, we've put it to the world also. Indian involvement, the raw involvement, Kulbhushan Yadav, all of those are cases in point. Do you think that the US and maybe the world overall will perhaps make it clearer to the Afghans at this time that of course they need to, the seriousness of what it's come to for Pakistan? Do you see that in the climate that we are in now, our closer relationship to the US maybe?
I think Pakistan needs to realize one thing, and this war against the TTP, Pakistan has to fight on its own.
Okay.
So you won't fight Americans coming the way they used to come during war on terror or other countries as well. And also, Pakistan should exhaust all its option, to make things good with Afghanistan. Americans, yes, they are very much concerned, but a mutual understanding, like, the mutual understanding, like Pakistan has assisted on multiple occasions Americans regarding ISKP. So in the return, Pakistan can ask to do something, in the counter-terrorism domain against the TTP. So there should be mutual interest. So don't expect, America, the US coming here to, resolve your problems. You have to offer them something, then they have to offer something in return.
Fakhar Sahib, do you think, as far as China is concerned, when we also were talking earlier with, of course, CPEC and the way that they've, and and Fakhar Sahib also mentioned it's not new when we talk about this kind of cooperation.
Yeah.
Do you think that may influence the Chinese when we think about recognition?
I don't think so that China will recognize it, but they can. If Russia can recognize the Kabul,
because
Afghanistan.
it's also an unpredictable kind of what we've seen as far as this recognition by Russia is concerned.
Yeah, of course, it's as Arslan said that that was not shocking, but the people was especially the diplomats here in Islamabad was about that
they were surprised
about that. Yes, surprised. Actually, what the thing is, I think so. China, Pakistan, maybe India, India, because they follow Russia. So in so many things, and they have a very good relation. Might be possible Iran, but not right now. Iran Afghanistan relation is not good, especially after that Israel and Iran war. I think so. But if China will recognize them, of course they can set a condition, especially as we have so many concern about the TTP and BLA. Of course, the Pakistani government, the Pakistani security forces have cleared this, that they have supported from Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is supported from, might be possible from some other country, maybe India or other one. I think so. They can set a condition.
And the potential for this kind of terrorism to impact CPEC, which we've seen.
Yeah, of course, we have seen so many times.
So of course, that may influence. As far as Ukraine's isolation is concerned, I'm running out of time, but quickly, Ihsanullah, to you, as far as Ukraine's isolation is concerned, do you think this is also going to lead to, perhaps as seeing, of course, Afghanistan is going to become a part of BRI land corridor also, and maybe it will give it more legitimacy, like you said, and we were earlier talking about as far as Uzbekistan is concerned. Perhaps they will follow, they are a more likely country to follow suit, right?
Exactly. Uzbekistan, they are already having quite close ties with the new Afghan government. Whenever we talk to Afghan diplomats here, so they would just endorse this thing. And I personally do think that Uzbekistan might be the next country to follow this and make it a trend. But these things might come from Eastern Europe as well. Few other allies, non-regional allies, Russian allies, they might also follow the suit.
So it definitely is going to it's giving them more legitimacy, certainly, today than it was. And globally. Right, on that note, thank you so much for being with us. Fakhar Yousafzai for joining us. Brigadier Hariz Nawaz, thank you for being with us. Lieutenant General Raza Muhammad Khan, thank you for joining us. Ihsanullah Masood, thank you for your time. Overall, of course, we know that as far as this recognition is concerned, it certainly gives the Taliban more legitimacy today than they have had since perhaps, they became independent, and of course the Afghan government came in. Whether other countries will follow suit remains to be seen, but at this time, as far as Pakistan is concerned, we continue to fight our own war, and we continue to put it plainly to the Afghan authorities that we will not tolerate any kind of terrorism that perpetrates from any country. Of course, in the next couple of weeks, it will become clearer which countries follow suit as far as this recognition is concerned, and how does the West look at it particularly, considering women's rights, considering the rights of education for women, which has of course been some of the important issues that the West have always raised with regard to the Afghan Taliban and the legitimacy of their government. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.